Here's me testing my 1 rep max for the 3-finger drag position of arm lifting.
Oh.
And here's me tearing my lumbrical in the process. So sorry for that shocking content, I hope you weren't triggered, but this big fail is the topic of today's video, and that is letting hubris get the best of you and performing unnecessary tests of strength. I've learned my lesson that it's better to prioritize safety and long-term progress over short-term ego boosts. So let's rewind to what led me to this moment. A few months prior, I set myself on a mission to improve my finger strength for rock climbing. I started training using these arm lifting exercises, where you just lift weight off the ground using a small grip implement. So here I'm using a wooden 15mm edge. In order to test this method of training, I wanted a baseline before I started working out, so I worked up to a 1 rep max lift of 45 kilograms. This went off without a hitch, and I commenced my training. Proceeded for a few months of doing twice weekly training, started off with moderate volume, moderate intensity for the first month, and then once my fingers had adapted a bit to the exercises, I ramped up to 1 mega set of 1 lift every 5 seconds, alternating hands until failure. This had me progressing extremely well. I was adding weight or reps every session steadily. On the session before this, I got up to 44 kilograms for 14 repetitions in 1 session. So that's some obvious progress, basically turning my 1 rep max into a 10 rep max. So in retrospect, I should have just taken this as my sign of progress, but I was keen to retest my 1 rep max to see what I could pull now. So I took a few days of rest, then I warmed up, and I pulled 46 kilograms pretty easily.
Not bad. Yeah, so that was 46 kilos, an improvement of just 1 kilogram. Just had to make sure I can beat the record. Do I add 2 or do I add 4? I think I could do 4. Let's try it.
And then decided to jump up to 50 kilograms. I lifted it with the left hand easy, and then the right hand went up easy as well, but after about a second, I felt a big twinge all the way along my arm and dropped the weight. Over the next few days, I realized that I likely had a mild, partial tear of the lumbrical on my right hand. So this is nothing terrible, and it's mostly healed now, but it's enough to teach me the following lesson. You don't always need to test your strength to know that you got stronger. If you're in a competition, then yes. If you're a professional athlete, then maybe also yes. But for the rest of us, our 1 rep maxes are utterly meaningless. No one else cares what you can lift. It's just a number. We're all out here on our own journeys with our own numbers. Testing just for testing's sake might not always be a good idea. While it can be valuable to have a discrete measurement of your strength to see how a given training method did or did not work for you, testing a 1 rep max isn't the only way to do that. Instead, you can test the progress of a 5 rep max or a 10 rep max. These are also great measures of strength and capacity, but they don't involve such a maximal force and the injury risk that comes with it. Plus, in my case, since I was working in that 10 rep max range, I was essentially retesting my 10 rep max every single training session, so I could have just saved myself the trouble and not even needed to do a separate test. Of course, there's a risk and reward in everything we do, but in this case the scenario seems very skewed in the favor of risk. The risk is injury and the reward is just knowing my max number. Doing the 1 rep max didn't actually make me stronger, it was all the other training sessions that made me stronger. Even if I hadn't gotten injured, it'd be more effective in the long term to just have done another normal training session where I'm using a higher rep range, because that's what was actually giving me the training stimulus. Personally, I'd have much rather skipped the 1 rep max test on this one, content in the knowledge from my training log that I'd been significantly improving my strength in a reasonable 8 to 15 rep range, and only given a 100% max all-out 1 rep max effort on an actual climb, something inspiring for which that finger strength would actually be useful. So this is not to say that you shouldn't test your 1 rep maxes at all, but I would be cautious when doing so and perhaps avoid large jumps in weight. But if you are about to do it, just check your motivations. Are you just stroking your ego, wanting to see a bigger number than ever before? And if so, is it really worth it? Or could you just infer your strength from your training log? Personally, I don't think I'll be performing a test like this anytime soon, just to have a more objective measure of my training progress. I'll focus on the process and not on the destination, and let the slow improvements come at whatever speed they do. Thanks for watching, subscribe to stay tuned for more fitness musings. In the next one, I'll dive deeper into the interesting differences between training process versus training performance. Take care.